Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here. It's Merkin Gun Reviews. We're back to talk more Watchmen Season 1. We are doing a little bit of a catch-up here, so we're on Episode 2, so we can get to Episode 3 live tomorrow. And so, full spoilers if you've not seen this episode of Watchmen, which is called, let's get this right, the first time, oh, not going to let me do it, Martial Feats of Comanche Horsemanship. Sounds like a friggin' Pearl Jam song from like the 90s. So let's just jump into the a topic that I want to just kind of get out of the way. And that is Adrian Veidt's story in this episode. Ozymandias. His story just right now just feels out of place with the rest of it. I know that they're going somewhere with it, but it kind of takes me out of it. There's a couple of things that take me out of this episode. Both of them fine, but I kind of wish that the show was a little more straightforward and not giving us so many subplots and mysteries. I feel like you get too many of those, and I guess this is because it's Damon Lindelof. I'm afraid they're going to start compounding mystery upon mystery and thing on top of thing until there's too many things, and then it turns into a mess. So far, it's all still coherent, but I kind of wish that they would just kind of like, if they want to tell Ozymandias the story, give us a whole episode, because it just doesn't really, for me, fit in there. It just kind of feels kind of tacked on. Again, just like last episode, just kind of feels tacked on. That doesn't take away that Jeremy Irons is incredible in it, and the two people who play several of the same people in his world. Now, I guess they're not robots. I guess I would say they're more likely they're clones of a couple of people. Maybe they're important. They were important to Ozymandias. I know that he is a sentimental person. He is a nostalgic person. I'm also wondering if he's on a bit of a loop, or if he's maybe got Alzheimer's, that he keeps kind of reliving the same day over and over again. We've only seen this twice, but it's basically the same events. We're just seeing more of it. I think every day he's putting on this play, because they say that, with the bodies and everything. So he keeps recreating the situation that caused Dr. Manhattan to become Dr. Manhattan. And he's using the male clones as guinea pigs or something, or it's just some sort of passion play. But he says he's got that things are just beginning. So I'm wondering if this is all just a way for him to try to remember. Because he's getting older, and I think maybe this is just to keep his brain working, because Adrian's biggest asset is his brain, and if that guy's brain is starting to fail, that would probably be his greatest fear. It's also weird that he has tomato trees, and so that's pretty much it. I mean, he's keeping a bunch of corpses in his basement as well, and anybody else, Jeremy Irons is perfect. When I had doubts about this show before it started, when I heard about this, when I heard that Jeremy Irons was playing an older Ozymandias, I was like, yeah, that is absolutely perfect casting. And I had to take some notes this time, because there's a lot to talk about. This is actually the second time I recorded this review, and this is like the third time I've watched this episode. So we begin the episode with Will, the old man in the wheelchair's father, in World War II. Or World War... Okay, this is... Okay, it's got to be... This is the part that's freaking me... Well, not freaking me out. Okay, so the piece of paper that Will has as a boy is Nazi propaganda. Or I guess maybe it's German propaganda. So this must be World War I, not World War II. And I would also say maybe because of the helmets that they're wearing don't look like World War II helmets. So German propaganda was dropped from the sky on African Americans. I'm I remember there being a lot of paying a lot of attention to like history stuff, like if you watch Ken Burns' The War and things like that. African Americans had a really hard time getting into the service. I don't quite recall how easy it was for them to get into the service in World War One. Although I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm just saying about it. I hear about the World War and things like that. But apparently what they did is they write down the agenda saying, why are you fighting us when you should be fighting the people that don't give you the rights that you want? Because if this has to, it's definitely World War One. Because World War Two, the Nazis would have just been like, blackies go home, burn them all. Like they would have been considered dogs to the Nazis. So it's basically showing like the Germans before the Nazis took power were trying to convince African American soldiers to fight us, probably just to see if they turn on their own, like the soldiers would turn on the American soldiers themselves. And they ask, what is democracy anyway? And it's an interesting comparison of like Germany in World War One and talking about oppression and things like that. It's pretty crazy. So Will's father, we cut to the beginning now, where he's here saying he killed the chief. Why would he do that? Why would he say he did it? Like, he's an old man. How could he even do it? But I mean, look, it's the Watchmen universe. It's a superhero universe. Technically, it's an extension of the DC universe, part of the multiverse. But I mean, I don't know if that's what Alan Moore was going for back then. I don't think he intended it to be that. I think that the Watchmen universe became part of the multiverse more recently, I think, by the stories that they wanted to tell and bring the Watchmen characters into the current world. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We could get into comic book stuff like pretty quickly. What it devolved. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm trying to make make sure my camera does not completely flake out on me. It's gonna flake out. Trust me, it's gonna flake out. But just not this early. So he's saying that he killed him. So why would he kill him? And you would be safe to say, because he says he has skeletons in his closet. And we know that from the last episode, he had that picture of himself as a young boy with a man who was probably at that Tulsa massacre. Depending on how old you want to think that Don Johnson's Judd character is. Because that happened in 1921, and this is 2019. That would make him a really old man. I don't think he is. But speaking of old men, Will Reeves, he's 105 years old. At least that's what he says anyway. So she locks him up. She handcuffs him in her bakery, her little hideout where she keeps her arsenal as well. So I don't know if they're ever really intending to have a bakery there. I think it's just her place to stash her stuff. But, it might be a little bit better cover if there actually was a bakery there, maybe. I don't know. But then you'd have to worry about people getting in to see the guns happen. But she gives him a cup of coffee, which she uses to take a DNA sample from. And he tells her that there's this huge epic conspiracy in Tulsa, which just makes me, I was like, why is this even taking place in Tulsa? It's a very specific city to be in because of, like New York and Washington and all these bigger cities that were covered in the original Watchmen book. Tulsa, I can't remember if that was ever important in the Watchmen book. It's been about 5 or so years probably since I read Watchmen. Probably more like 3. So if anybody knows if Tulsa was important to the book, please put that in the comments section. Because I do think we can sometimes go to the book for a little research here. She finally, though, she gets the call that they found his body. She goes out there. We get another little interesting thing of these moths. Reporters that are flying around with like little wings, and cameras. That's very... I mean, why? Why? Like, I don't know. It's just, it's cool, but it just seems like odd for odd's sake. But whatever. We also get the flashback to the White Night, the night that all the cops in Tulsa were targeted. And I mean, I guess I guess I keep saying Tulsa and why was it important? I mean, I guess it all ties into the massacre, right? Where a whole bunch of racists destroyed what they were calling the Black Wall Street. That they took it all away in a day, and that this is like maybe just a big revenge plot. I don't know. But what does that have to do with the cavalry and the Rorschach masks? I don't know. But we see the White Night where all the cops in Tulsa were targeted. Somebody found out who they were, which would definitely speak to an inside person knowing who they were. It would have to be. I mean, they're all supposed to be really careful. But there's a lot. There's like, 9 or 10 episodes in this season, so we've got a lot of time to figure out who or how they got it. But they're definitely trying to lean us towards Don Johnson being bad. Now, we'll get to that, I guess, because we get to see that night where she fends off a couple of cavalry members. She kills one of them. She's shot. And then she wakes up in the hospital with Judd standing over her, and it's very earnest and very sincere. And so this is important to Angela's character because it gives that connection, that why she loves him, why she has this strong feelings of kind of like a father figure for her, and that to find out that this man was a racist and a plant, a possible plant, is hard. I hate it. I hate it. Mostly because it's obvious. And I know that in this day of subverting expectations, and the fact that Don Johnson has played a lot, kind of a string of bad, evil, kind of racist type characters lately, I would think that they'd want us to believe that he's bad, just to say that he's not, because like make him a red herring. It's something else that's actually going on. I'm hoping that that's where it's going, even though I'm already predicting that. Because I keep wondering, is this all a lie? Are they trying to set up the lie? But we snap then to Nixonville, where they go to confront all the people that live in this basic like shanty town. Like, who would choose to they're living like homeless people with this huge Nixon statue. It's very weird. Again, odd for odd's sake, like people just literally living in cardboard boxes, camped out like there, like these people are the oppressed almost, like or what? There's like the race relations topic in this is very interesting because since this is an alternate America, things aren't the way they are here. So when we see white people living in like a shanty town and a lot of black cops and kind of a resurgence of the black community, it's just a very interesting counter to what we usually see on television. And so they have this big throwdown, Red Scare, Looking Glass are all there, and they just rip these people. They beat them all up and take them in on the paddy wagons to question them to find out who killed Judd. But then in the meantime, after this, she takes that mug to the DNA sample that she got from Will, and we get kind of an exposition dump where we get to know more about what happened in Tulsa. And another interesting thing is everyone insisting. They said it like earlier in the episode, her and Will were talking about Dr. Manhattan's powers, and then she talks about it with her husband, about that Dr. Manhattan can't look like us. But, I mean, how do these people know what Dr. Manhattan is completely capable of and what he's not? Because in this world, he wasn't blamed. This is the book version. He wasn't the one that was blamed for what happened in the world. He didn't make all those explosions. Adrian Veidt's alien hoax worked. So they blamed everything on aliens. And we have that squid thing, and people believing that that's a conspiracy, that Robert Redford is actually doing it. We haven't really talked about that, We also didn't talk about the battery cancer bomb that those guys were making, but anyway, I don't know how they can know for sure what Dr. Manhattan can do or not. Also, that toy that Topher has, I actually thought for a second maybe he had powers, but it looks like just kind of a magnet, like a kind of an what would they call that? Like an electromagnet toy. That was very cool. An American hero story, where we are introduced to a Watchmen character called Hooded Justice. Now, why is this important yet? I don't know, except for the parallels to putting on a mask and identity. You know, who are you? I'm this. I have like two identities. I'm this one way, and my anger, you know, like in the anger inside me is another. When I put the costume on, we become one. Kind of like how she is with herself as a person, and when she becomes the Night Nun. If that's all they're going for, fine. They did a really good job. Like, this really felt like a scene from the movie, like showing one of the good old days. If you want to call taking down a whole bunch of criminals in one of the most hardcore ways. It's shot so beautifully. It looks so retro, and I love it. And that clerk, he had us safe the whole time, man. He almost let all those people get killed for that. But it's a really interesting story. So you know this guy was a strong man. There's more to this. Again, adding more mysteries, things like that. I'm worried again. They just keep putting stuff on till it's going to be hard to like answer all the questions again. So she goes to Judd's house, where his wife seemed fine to her husband, he said. And they're having like a wake, and the senator is there, Senator Joe Keene, the one who's running against Robert Redford. And you find out that Judd's wife used to work, you never know, for Senator Keene. So could this be really what's going on? That we're having Judd set up as the villain, as a plant, but really it's the wife and the senator, because the senator would obviously be against what Robert Redford's doing, and I believe that like what they're trying to tell us is the Tulsa police and Angela and Judd were pro Robert Redford's presidency. It's hard to talk about it like this because it's not real, and saying Robert Redford is the president is weird. But kind of fun. It's kind of a fun idea. I wonder if he's actually going to be in this. And so she finds the Klan outfit, and again, it's like really easy. She said it was really easy to find. Like I said, like she's fighting the idea of it because of how obvious this looks. That you know, so maybe it's just, you know, doesn't want to see it, that he, you know, maybe he was at one time connected to this. Maybe he leaves it in his closet as a reminder, forcing himself to leave it there as like, I never want to forget where I came from, but not in that way that like I want to, you know, wave around the Confederate flag and put crosses in people's front yards, but more like penance. I'm really fighting hard for this Don Johnson still being a good guy character, if you guys can't tell. So maybe it's the wife. Maybe the wife and the senator. Maybe this is all like a deep, long con. I don't know. Either way, somebody's really up to no good. And then we find out that Will is Angela's grandfather, and he's rescued by his friends. People in high places. Now, is this Night Owl? I don't know. I don't want to speculate, because then if I get all excited and it just turns out to be some Joe Schmo from Hoboken, I don't know why I picked Hoboken, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to overassume, but I know that in the next episode it says that Lori, I believe it's the Lori from Watchmen, is an FBI agent. So these people are, you know, the characters are still around. Some of them are, we don't know. I mean, we know Rorschach is all, but it's going to be really interesting. I'm really excited to see the next episode. I can't wait to do it right after it comes out, now that I'm all caught up. But another fantastic episode, and like I said, if they can kind of maybe learn in this season how to just make these episodes a little more compact and stop piling up the questions. Okay? I don't need answers right away, but just only ask a few questions at a time. Don't be piling them on. So anyway, again, Regina King. Love her. I love everybody in this. This is a very well acted show. It is so well produced. So again, 2 thumbs up for Watchmen season 1, episode 2. Can't wait for episode 3. So hopefully you guys will join me. I will have that review hopefully up before Monday morning because it takes me a while to upload these things. So anyway, if though you liked this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. You can find me on Twitter at reviews_gun. Otherwise, this is Robert Smirking Gun Reviews, and we've got lots of content on the channel. We've got a lot of comic book reviews lately. But if you go deep diving or check out my playlists, we've got a lot of videos. Right? And one of these days, I'm actually going to catch up with my subscriber count is actually, hopefully, going to catch up to how many videos I have. So, have a great night. Don't forget to subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and we'll see you on the next video. Have a great night.